Welcome to this German grammar lesson. In this lesson, I'll teach you personal pronouns, so words like I, you, he, she, it, etc., and verbs in the present tense. We've also got a whole lot of exercises, so treat this as a real lesson. Sit down and concentrate, get yourself a pen and paper so you can take notes. This video is meant for German beginners, so if you know pronouns and verbs already, this lesson is not for you. So in English, the personal pronouns are I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, and then there's this formal you. Don't pay attention to that right now. And in German, it is ich, du, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie. As you can see, we have multiple ways to say you in German. There's 3 ways to do it. Du, ihr, and sie. All of them are you in English. Du is the informal singular way to say it. So you'd say this to one friend. Ihr is the informal plural way to say it. So you'd say this to 2 or more friends. Like you in the plural, that would be like y'all or you guys. And then there's this formal you. It doesn't matter how many people you're speaking to, it could be 1 or more, but it is formal. So what do I mean by that? In German, we differentiate between informally addressing someone and formally addressing someone. The informal one, du, for one person, or ihr, for multiple people, is used if you know someone already and you're on familiar terms with them, such as family, your friends, pets, all children, basically everyone you would address by their first name. Sie is a polite pronoun that implies a certain formality between people. Sie is used for those people you would address by their last name. Like for Mr. Schmidt, you would use Sie, but if you call him Tom, you would use du. That's the general rule of thumb. But the usage also depends on the setting, so 2 adults who don't know each other yet would use Sie, right? But if they meet at a party and everything's very informal, they will use du. Basically, the way you can remember it is this. Call every adult you don't know yet Sie, except if you feel like the setting is very informal. It might also be a good strategy to address coworkers as Sie at first until they offer you the du, because it's better to call someone Sie and have them correct you than to assume you can use the informal address and offend someone. Now, this has been changing a little bit in some places, like in some stores, they would use du, but usually not, so better be safe than sorry. There's also a lot of regional variation throughout the German-speaking world, so take everything I say about du and sie with a grain of salt. Also, you might have noticed that the formal sie is always capitalized, just like in English where the pronoun I is always capitalized. There's no exceptions to this rule. And the du is written in lowercase, although some older Germans capitalize it still, because that was a rule a long time ago, I think like more than 20 years ago. And then there was a reform and they changed it, so some older people still do it, especially when writing a letter, but it's technically wrong. Also, you can actually be happy about having to use sie, because conjugating the verb using sie is grammatically easier than using du. But this will make more sense once we get to the conjugations. For now, I want you to memorize these, and maybe I can help you with that, and also with the pronunciation. So, I starts with the letter I. Well, it is just the letter I. Just like ich starts with an I. So that's how you can remember that. You and du rhyme a little bit. However, be careful because du is not pronounced do, as in to do something. There's a huge difference between do and do. Can you hear that? Do. 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 Very different. Now let's get to sie, es. He, she, it. Sounds a bit like the British pronunciation of heir, like the person who inherits something. Sie sounds exactly like the last letter of the alphabet if an American says it, sie. And S is pronounced exactly like the letter S. Wir starts with a W, just like we, but we pronounce every W like a V, so it's wir, okay? Wir. Ihr rhymes with wir. It's exactly the same sound, but you just omit the V sound at the beginning, ihr. Also, it sounds like the body part if you pronounce it in British English, so ihr. And then there's sie again, which is like the last letter in the alphabet. Now, let's say these together. Repeat after me. Ich. Du. Sie, es. Wir. You und ihr. Sie. I was gonna say you there, but it's ihr. Next exercise. It's your turn to say them in the correct order, okay? I'll just say go, and then you say it first, and then I will say it after you. Go. Ich. Du. Sie, es. Wir. Ihr. Sie. Good job. Now I'll give you pronouns and you just shout out the German version. Be quick because you just have like 1 second before I give you the solution. If you need more time, just pause the video each time or play it at a lower speed. But I want you to become fast. So do this exercise multiple times if you need to, or the one before, and you will get faster. She. Sie. You, informal and also singular. Du. You, formal. Sie. I. Ich. It. Es. You, plural, informal. Ihr. He. Er. Good job. We. Wir. They. Sie. Okay, now one last time, all in the right order. Let's just say these together now. Ich. Du. Sie, es. Wir. Ihr. Sie. Okay, good job. You're doing amazing. Now let's talk about verbs. Let's just use this one, fragen. It means to ask. As you can see, it ends in the letters en. This is true for pretty much all German verbs. They all have an infinitive ending. Not like in English, where the infinitive doesn't have an ending. It could be anything. Work, travel, differentiate, play, stutter. But in German, they end in the sound n. This is important to know because it makes conjugating easy. To conjugate a verb, you need the root part of the verb. To do that, you just delete the n ending. And you're left with the root. So frag is the root of fragen. To that root, you just attach new endings depending on the personal pronoun. So for I ask, you'd say, ich frage. You ask, du fragst. Repeat after me, by the way. I want you to repeat everything I say in German so you can practice your pronunciation. He, she, it asks, sie, es fragt. We ask. Wir fragen. You ask. Ihr fragt. That would be you guys ask. Y'all ask. Or they or formal you ask. Sie fragen. And I put sie twice because the first sie is they and the capitalized one is the formal you. You need to remember these endings, okay? They're the same for all verbs. Of course, irregular verbs exist, but they don't affect the ending, so just memorize these endings. Whoops, where are they gone? I don't know why, but there you go. As you can see with we and they and formal you, so wir and sie, the whole verb is just like the infinitive, so no ending there really. And now you also know why I said addressing someone with sie is easier than using du. You don't have to change the verb at all. If you use du, you have to add that st, right? The st. And for ihr, you have to add that t, so there you go. Makes it easier. Oh, okay. Also, the ending is the same for sie, es and ihr. They both have the t at the end. Let's do another verb. Let's do spielen, to play. Pay attention to the pronunciation. The sp makes a sound like sp spielen. It's not spielen, okay? You try and say them first. Just look at the left and see what endings you have to add to the root part of the verb, and then I'll say it after you. I'll always give you like 2 or 3 seconds. Ich spiele. What is you play? Du spielst. Good. Sie es spielt. Wir spielen. Ihr spielt. Sie spielen. All right. Third one. This is the verb trinken, to drink. Ich trinke. Du trinkst. Sie es trinkt. Wir trinken. Ihr trinkt. Sie trinken. Now, before you were able to cheat and look at the other verbs, check the endings. Now you can't do that. Same exercise. What are the endings of sagen, to say? Okay, sagen. Ich sage. Du sagst. Sie es sagt. Wir sagen. Ihr sagt. Sie sagen. And again, with lieben, to love. I'm sure you already know the phrase I love you in German. Ich liebe dich. So you already know this part. Ich liebe. Okay, your turn now. Go. Du liebst. Sie es liebt. Wir lieben. Ihr liebt. Sie lieben. And last one. Let's do one last one. Kommen, to come. Your turn again. Go. Ich komme. Du kommst. Sie es kommt. Wir kommen. Ihr kommt. Sie kommen. It's not that hard, right? If you find that really hard still, whoops, I didn't want to show you that yet. If you find that really hard still, just practice, practice, practice. I'll give you a ton of verbs to practice this with, and you can also go through these exercises in the video several times to get faster. Unfortunately, there are many irregular verbs that actually change their root when you conjugate them. But the good news is a lot of the important verbs are regular, so you can make a whole bunch of sentences already. Look, here's a list. All of these are regular, so now we can practice with those. I want you to grab your notebook or whatever you've got and just write them down somewhere and study those. But one thing before we practice conjugating them, I want you to know a thing about the present tense in German. In English, we don't have only one present tense. We have, for example, the simple present, I cook, and the present progressive, I'm cooking. Sometimes it's also called present continuous. In German, we just have that one present tense, the one you've been learning in this video. How great is that? So both I cook and I'm cooking means ich koche. So let's say you want to say, I'm cooking dinner. In Germany, that is, ich koche Abendessen. Ich koche Abendessen. Don't forget to repeat after me. Abendessen means dinner. And actually, that's a funny word because Abend means evening and Essen means meal. So it literally translates to evening meal. And that's how we say dinner. If you want to say, I never cook, that is, ich koche nie. Never is nie in German. It's pronounced exactly like the body part, a nie. As you can see, we put the nie after the verb and not before it. Now, if someone tells you, ich koche, how do you know if they mean that they generally cook or that they're cooking right now? You can usually tell from the context what they mean, but there is a way to make it crystal clear by just adding the word gerade, which means right now. So you can say, ich koche gerade, which means I'm cooking right now, and you know that they're cooking at this exact moment. In addition, the German present tense is often used to express future time. In German, we do have a future tense, but often we don't use it. So if in English you'd say, I'll do this and that tomorrow, in German you can just say, I do this and that tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow is morgen in German. Morgen. So the whole sentence, ich koche morgen, would be I'll cook tomorrow, or I'm going to cook tomorrow. So ich koche Abendessen, ich koche nie, ich koche morgen. You just put ich koche, which means I cook, and then add whatever you want to make it clear. Now let's practice with some sentences. I'll give you a German sentence, and you translate it into English. I'll read the sentence to you, and if there's some new words in there, I'll tell you the meaning, and then you translate. I'll give you about 5 seconds maybe for each sentence. If you need more time, just pause the video or adjust the speed or whatever you need to do. Tom und Anna kochen. Und just means and. Tom and Anna are cooking. Could also mean Tom and Anna cook, or Tom and Anna are going to cook. If you add something like Tom und Anna kochen morgen, that would be Tom and Anna are cooking tomorrow, or they're going to cook tomorrow. Ich höre Musik. And Musik obviously means music, and hören can also mean to listen. I'm listening to music. Good. Du verkaufst das Haus. Das Haus is the house. You're selling the house. Wir brauchen Wasser. Wasser means water. We need water. Sie macht Musik. She makes music. Es schwimmt. It swims. Or it can actually mean it floats. So schwimmen doesn't only mean swimming, but it can also mean floating. I just didn't put that there because it's not very important to know. But if you want to explain, like, okay, metal sinks to the ground if you throw it into the water, and wood floats, then you can just say, in German you could just say, it swims. Wood swims. Ihr sucht etwas. Etwas means something. You are looking for something. Yeah. And it's you plural. You guys are looking for something. Er kauft Wasser. He's buying water. Kochst du? Now this is a question, as you can see. Questions are really easy in German, so I'll teach you this type of simple question right now. You just switch the place of the personal pronoun and the verb. So instead of saying du kochst, you switch them. Kochst du? So what's that in English? Are you cooking? Right, it can also mean do you cook or are you gonna cook? Okay, let's try this again. Verkaufen Sie? Are you selling? And this is a formal way of saying you. Pay attention to how the Z is capitalized. That's how you know the Z is not they. Next exercise, I'll give you a verb in the infinitive and a personal pronoun, just like that. And I want you to make a correct sentence in German. So if I give you schreiben and I want you to say, schreibt. And then also translate it into English. He writes or he's writing. Or, and I didn't put that in the video, but it can also mean he will write if you added a word like tomorrow or next Sunday, you know. Also, if you want to improve your written German, feel free to do all these exercises in your notebook. So first one, gehen, du. Du gehst. It means you go, you're going. Hoffen, ich. Ich hoffe. That means I hope, I'm hoping. Kaufen, wir. Yeah, wir and sie is always easy. Wir kaufen. That means we buy or we are buying. Verkaufen, sie. And I mean the they type of sie. Sie verkaufen. That's easy too if it's that type of sie. And now because the sie is at the beginning of the sentence, of course the S is going to be capitalized even though it's they. So if you only see that sentence, without any context, you wouldn't know if it says they sell, they're selling, or if it might say you plural, you formal are selling. You are selling, Mr. Rogers. Malen, ihr. Ihr malt. And that would be you paint, or you're painting. You guys, you plural you. Brauchen, er. Er braucht. And that's he needs in English. Bleiben, wir. Wir bleiben. That one's easy too. Wir is always easy. We stay, or we're staying. Schwimmen, ihr. Ihr schwimmt. You swim, you're swimming. And that's plural you. Beginnen, ich. Ich beginne. I begin, or I'm beginning. Singen, sie, and I mean they by that. Sie singen. They sing, or they're singing. Okay, next exercise. I'll give you a conjugated verb, and you have to decide which pronoun has to go in. As you know, some pronouns in German have the same ending, so in those cases, you just give me all the possible pronouns that could fit in there. In this example, only one option is possible. Du. Du lernst. And the translation for that would be you study or you're studying. Bonus question in between. If you want to ask someone, hey, are you studying? What's that in German? What do you think? Right. It would be lernst du? You just switched those two words. Du lernst, lernst du? Now let's actually do the exercise. Here are all of them. Please stop the video now and do the exercise. I'll wait for 2 seconds. Go. Okay, let's compare. Ich male. Wir schreiben, or Sie schreiben. And the Sie could be you formal or they. Er, sie, es, or ihr verkauft. Ich beginne. Er, sie, es, ihr schwimmt. Wir, sie brauchen. Du kaufst. Du hörst. Er, sie, es geht, or ihr geht. Wir or sie suchen. Okay, now that we've gone over all of these, I'm sure you need a break, so let the information sink in a little. However, there's homework I want you to practice. On the left, you've got 19 sentences total to translate from English to German and vice versa. I know some of these sentences don't make that much sense, but this is for the sake of practicing, you know. You should be able to do all of these with everything you've learned in this video, even if you didn't know any German before that. If you do get stuck, that means you have to watch some part of this video again. But also, don't hesitate to ask me any questions if I didn't explain something well enough. And, all the verbs you need are in the middle here. Whoops, I think you saw my mouse there. And on the right, I've put other vocab you learned in this lesson and that you'll need in the translations. Write the translations as a comment if you want to. I'll read it and correct you if something's wrong. For the next lesson, study the vocab words because we'll be using them again. In the next video, I'll teach you irregular verbs, so the regular ones should be easy for you to conjugate by then because it'll only get harder, okay? Also, this is my first video ever, so if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. As I'm just starting YouTube, I'll be thrilled if I even get one comment. I really don't know how YouTube works, to be honest. So we'll see if anyone finds this video at all. But anyway, thanks for watching. Do your homework in the comments and put your requests or questions down below as well. Bye! Cheers!